Hi everyone, and welcome back to another kind of weight loss related video. So I thought what we would do today is I've got a few different ideas of kind of weight related things that I want to speak about, but they're kind of quite an abstract version of an idea, so bear with me. I'll get there, but I'm just going to sit down a little bit more comfortably because I'm kind of right at the edge of the bed and I'm not that comfy. So I've written down a few notes of what we're going to talk about, but basically I want to go more into detail into what kind of clicked for me this time around. And I say this time around, I have been a yo-yo dieter from about the age of 12. I know that might sound shocking to some of you, but when I was that age, it was when people like Lindsay Lohan and Paris Hilton were kind of all over the media and they were considered goals, and like Misha Barton, and I wanted to look like that. And I didn't look like that. And I do wonder if perhaps maybe the ideal kind of body shape now, which is a curvier shape, would be, would have kind of impacted how I felt. But I think it just damages it in another way, because now I think kind of girls are convinced that they have to have really big boobs and really big bums in order to be deemed attractive, but be tiny everywhere else. And the percentage of women that actually have those kind of proportions naturally is minuscule, and a lot of the people that we see on Instagram that look like they do don't really, and it's just kind of our interpretation of that look without realizing that there's maybe a little bit more to it. I mean, there are people that are probably that genetically blessed, but so I have kind of on and off dieted, and then a few years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, I had a lot of stuff going on personally, a lot of kind of big life changes, and I have always been somebody who's had to really be careful about what they eat and really watch their weight and really be on it all the time. And I just stopped being able to be on it. I just kind of lost control of it and overate and gained a lot of weight. I'm only 5'1", so I'm very small. I've got a fairly petite frame as well, and I didn't feel good, and I didn't feel like I looked good, and that is something that I do want to point out in this video as well. I know these topics can be difficult and they can be triggering for people. If you feel like anything I'm talking about is slightly triggering you, then by all means, like, don't watch this kind of content. I won't be offended. I won't hold it against you. I would rather people's kind of the way they feel about themselves stays intact, okay? So please be aware of that. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination trying to say that you have to kind of abide by what I'm saying. It's not that case. So then I've spoken about it a little bit, but I started kind of doing calorie counting, and I realized that I could eat a little bit more than maybe I thought that I would, because I always felt like I had to be really restrictive with what I was eating. I was all or nothing. I was going to be perfect, and you know, we all know, you know, spoiler alert, that that doesn't work. So I have spoken a lot about the fact that I started to kind of look into a little bit more about emotional eating and binge eating and restricting and that kind of thing, and resources that helped me were there's a book called Brain Over Binge. I can't remember the author's name off the top of my head, but I will link it down below for you, that I found really helpful. And also I listen to a lot of the Emma G Show podcast, so it's Emma Guns' show. I will link that down below for you if you want to have a listen to it. But she speaks to so many interesting experts about nutrition and fitness and body image and that kind of thing on there. And she also speaks a lot about her personal struggle and kind of how she overcame it and how she kind of lost weight and kind of got to a point she was happy with. And I found it just really fascinating, and I started to listen to a lot of content like that, not kind of with an intent of personal improvement per se, but it was a kind of good byproduct, because how I feel about everything has changed massively. And I've also just discovered that everybody, like, I believe this, everybody has a way of eating that is best suited to them, and it differs from person to person, and it's so individual. So for me, for example, I'm vegetarian. I know that's not a very trendy thing to be anymore. You're supposed to either be vegan or be like a carnivore that only eats grass-fed beef that's been raised by monks or something. I don't know. No, I'm not belittling it, but like I always feel like being vegetarian is now kind of considered almost old-fashioned. So I'm vegetarian, and I always thought that you had to rely on carbs, and by carbs I mean, you know, proper carbs like bread and rice and potatoes and all of that kind of thing. And then I started looking into, this was probably about 2-3 years ago, because it was before I was pregnant, a little bit more kind of a low carb kind of diet and like a little bit more keto based. And I didn't stick to it like strictly, because obviously when you don't eat meat it is a little bit harder to kind of be on top of that. It's doable, but it is hard. There's a lot of planning involved. So what I did was I just didn't eat really obvious carbs. So I didn't eat potatoes, I didn't eat bread, I didn't eat rice, I didn't eat that kind of thing, pasta. And I always thought that I was going to be starving if I didn't eat those, you know, like what do you do for protein. I'm not massive on eggs. I do eat eggs now, but I'm a bit like, I can eat an omelette or a scrambled egg and that's about it. So I've always eaten a lot of vegetables. Fruits less my jam, but vegetables I love. Like I love like a little carrot like snack. I love salad. Like I actually really love salad. I love like roasted vegetables. We're very like that as a family. We all kind of eat like that. So it's very normal to us. Maybe it's like a kind of Middle Eastern, Mediterranean thing. I don't know. But it is, I think, as well, because you do eat like more fresh stuff in hotter countries, I guess. But I was always really good at that, but I just kind of started to focus on that a little bit more, and I suddenly found that I didn't need to eat so much carbs. So what I do now is I tend not to have carbs for my dinner, but again, just your obvious carbs. So I still eat beans, I still eat vegetables, anything like that. I just don't tend to have things like pasta or rice for dinner during the week. But when I'm at work, I will have a pizza for lunch, like no questions asked, twice a week kind of thing. I won't eat the whole pizza because I kind of I've gotten better at kind of saying to myself, right, okay, you've had enough now. And what I also do is I try and think of it as a bank balance. I think of like my food choices, not my calories per se, and people have asked me this recently about am I still watching calorie wise. I think, and this is something that I heard Emma Guns talking about on her most recent podcast. I think it was with Rhiannon Lambert, who's like a nutritionist. They were talking about how most women are fairly calorie literate. And I would agree. So I have a rough understanding. I just try and be mindful-ish of kind of where I'm at. I'm not going to go too much into detail about it because I do know that that can be quite triggering, like numbers and stuff. The same goes for weight. If it's any indication and you need to know, I'm like a size 8 to 10 now. And I'm 5'1", so like I said, I'm small. But I started to kind of think of it as a bank balance. So for example, if I have a pizza for lunch, I have a smaller dinner. So I'll have something like salad or an omelette or some soup for dinner, but not, you know, like just a bowl of lettuce, like a nice salad, like, you know, with olive oil and cheese and stuff like that. I'm just kind of mindful of it. And I also realised that I'm very happy eating very healthy meals. So vegetable heavy, that kind of thing, like really light, nice, fresh, healthy meals. If you want to know the types of things that I eat, I do film what I eat in a day videos. So you can kind of have a look there. But I need to snack. I'm a person who needs a snack. You might be a person who needs to have like a big sit down dinner, like a bowl of pasta at night to feel fulfilled and to feel like that's what your body needs. I'm not that person. On a Sunday, I'll kind of make something nice for all of us. So I kind of, it's more just so we all eat together every day anyway, but I'll make something a bit more special kind of thing on a Sunday usually, or we'll have a takeaway or something. And it's just because we're not at the restaurant and that just works for us kind of thing. So I will eat whatever then. And we always have pastries on a Sunday morning. We either have like some cinnamon rolls or one of my favourite things are the M&S. They come in a frozen bag and they're the M&S pain au chocolat. Oh, those. They are just delicious. So yeah, I kind of, and it's not a treat day per se, because I have treats all week. Like, I don't have pastry for breakfast all day every week, but I have chocolate every day, and I have crisps pretty much every day. And I just kind of am mindful of it in that way. And I've discovered that that's kind of what works best for me. And that's not to say that it's going to work for everybody, but you have to be at a point where you're ready for it to just click, I think, as well. And if you're not at that point, you're not at that point, and it's fine, and it will eventually, and it's fine. And you know what, maybe it won't, and you will just kind of make peace with the fact that you're just at a larger size than maybe in your head you'd like to be, and you'll get there. Like, it's not, we're so conditioned to think that it's a huge deal, and then you realize eventually that maybe it's not. And it's a case of like everything having to kind of happen in a certain way, I think. Like everything has to align to come to terms with it. And one of the things that I think had a big impact for me was I wanted to be a good role model for my daughter. I've got a daughter, and I wanted to just be really healthy, and I wanted to kind of have a good relationship with food and with my body, and just be kind of liberated from it all, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think that's kind of everything I wanted to impart on you. Please let me know what you think about what we've spoken about today. If you've got any more topics that you want me to cover and talk about, I absolutely will. And we can do it in maybe a bit more of a structured kind of way rather than me just waffling on. But I hope you enjoyed this nonetheless. Please let me know kind of what you think about it and how you feel, and what you'd like to see more of. And I'll see you soon.